In Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight Rises, we see Bruce Wayne make one last heroic effort to keep his beloved hometown of Gotham safe from tyranny. He's able to fight through all sorts of adversity with the help of his closest friends and also some new acquaintances that he meets along the way. But Batman was not seen as a hero from the beginning of the movie. While putting up his best effort to fight the enemy army, which is led by lead villain Bane, Bruce also has to fight to keep his health intact, both mentally and physically. We see our hero toil with his inner demons while also trying to do the right thing. He had to avoid being caught or detected by the police multiple times in order for good to prevail over evil. Through it all, Bruce is able to make sure that Batman doesn't take over his whole life. He's able to see the bigger picture and realize what's really important. He's able to overcome his trials and tribulations, and in the end, he's seen as a hero who made the ultimate sacrifice to save his city and the people that he loved. But, as we all know, nothing is always perfect. It was a long journey for Batman to become the revered hero of Gotham. Through ideological analysis, we can break down how and why Bruce Wayne and the Bat were misunderstood for years before their death. First, we should understand what ideological analysis actually is. Let's start with what ideology means. Ideology can be defined as a system of meanings that can help define and explain the world. These meanings help us make judgments of value about the world around us. According to philosopher Karl Marx, the way in which values, beliefs, and ideals are expressed and understood depends on how society is organized. Marx created a theory that stated that the organizing factor in society is a superstructure base. Usually, this refers to the economic base or the main mode of production of capitalism. The capitalistic base then determines the social and power relations in society, which serves as the main mode of organization of individuals. Because of the way that capitalistic societies are organized, the main goal of all of it is to maintain the status quo of social and power relations. Now, you're probably asking yourself, why the heck do we need to know all this anyways? Well, according to Marx's theory, the billionaire Bruce Wayne, solely based off of his wealth, would be considered as an enemy to society. Huh? That's what I'm saying too. Even though Bruce Wayne is Batman, the hero who continues to save countless lives and keeps the city of Gotham out of imminent danger, he'd be considered part of the elite 1% of individuals who control the other 99% of people. He would have been seen as someone who didn't care about the little guy and only cared about himself and his wealth. Unfortunately, all these assumptions would have been made by just looking at Bruce Wayne's wiki page. We know that from watching the movie and seeing who Bruce Wayne really is, that he was not that at all. We saw how people constantly misunderstood and misjudged who he was as a person just based on his wealth, the kind of car they drove, and even his last name. Because of hegemonic ideologies that we and the citizens of Gotham have about wealthy individuals, we assume that they are selfish and money hungry. We assume that they'll do anything for a profit and that they'll disregard anybody's well-being in order for them to get what they want. But for Bruce Wayne, that cannot be farther from the truth. In the movie, there are multiple examples of how Bruce was kind, selfless, and compassionate. Even though he played such a dark character, he constantly was looking out for the ones that he loved. Although hard-headed and stubborn to ask for assistance sometimes, anytime that he had to ask for help from someone, he made sure to repay them back in full. He had a small circle, and for the ones that he did trust, he went above and beyond to make sure that they were safe and in good spirits. And even in the darkest of times, it seemed that Bruce kept his composure for the ones around him. He became the calming presence that helped the others gather themselves in order for the goal of defeating the enemy to happen. By choosing to be selfless and think of others, he's able to help everyone around him. When everyone on his team happened to be on the same page, tasks were able to be accomplished in a time-worthy manner. This saved many lives and a whole lot of money as well. Because of what we have been taught to think about when we hear the word billionaire, we automatically think negative thoughts about people who fit this category of individuals. Bruce Wayne, although, was not your typical billionaire. That probably had to do with how his life had took a turn when he was a young adult. Bruce joined the League of Shadows / the League of Assassins and trained with the infamous Ra's al Ghul. The academy was located high in the mountain range of the Himalayas, and if you trained there, you weren't given that much. Living in humble abodes, Bruce learned how to live with less. and became less concerned with money and other worldly material items. And that didn't change when he came back to Gotham. He continued to remain humble, and other than some cool new gadgets and toys, he mostly uses money and connections to help the Batman gain the upper hand on villains and bad guys in general. He gave millions of dollars to charities and organizations around Gotham, and that helped thousands of people. He also rebuilt and renovated his own mansion and turned it into an orphanage for boys who were just like him. According to hegemonic ideologies, the ruling classes in society can maintain power through physical force, control, and by gaining consent of the appointed government officials. We see that not only many villains use these three elements to maintain their power, but also the wealthier 1% doing the same thing in the movie. By watching the actions of villains and wealthy individuals in Gotham, there wasn't a lot to differentiate them. To get the upper hand, they did not hesitate to make sure that they would inflict harm on anybody who stood in their way. And this is where we can see the difference between Bruce and other millionaires and billionaires. By constantly using his power and wealth for good, Bruce was able to make new connections that helped Gotham stay out of harm's way. Batman was only one person, but by creating bonds with people like Police Commissioner Gordon, Wayne Enterprises CEO Lucius Fox, and even then, supervillainess Catwoman aka Selina Kyle, Batman was able to save millions of lives and save Gotham from an atomic bomb. It was also quite ironic how Batman had a very positive friendship and partnership with Police Commissioner Gordon, but was hated and despised by the Gotham police force. From the time that Batman had seemingly re-emerged from the shadows of Gotham at the beginning of the movie, the police force had a main objective of catching the Dark Knight. The very first bit of action that Batman had in years, the then police chief, Peter Foley, yes, this guy, disregarded criminals who had just robbed the Gotham Stock Exchange and tied up hostages on their backs while they were trying to get away on motorcycles. Instead, when Batman comes to save the day and make sure that the hostages were safe, and also chasing down the assailants, Foley decided to send the whole regime of officers to capture Batman. Yes, still, this guy. In the movie he says, "Calling every officer. I'm talking SWAT, off-duty, crosswalk guys, you name it. I'm going to do what Officer Gordon never could do. I'm going to take down the Batman. Hooray. Good for you." Batman was so hated by the chief of police, who was supposed to uphold the law by locking up the bad guys who just, rob millions of people of their money. Instead, he chose to try to take down the guy who was actually trying to help them and actually trying to do the right thing in the first place. Even after all the times that the police tried to stop Batman, he forgave them and fought side by side with them to take back the city of Gotham from supervillain Bane. Bruce didn't harbor any bad feelings for the police like a villain would. He instead showed why he was so selfless. He knew the greater good needed the Batman and the Gotham police force. Because he was thinking of others instead of thinking about how he should be mad or hold some sort of animosity towards Police Chief Foley, he sucked up his pride and fought for his beloved city. At the end of The Dark Knight, the second movie in the Batman trilogy, Batman kills Two-Face and saves Commissioner Gordon's wife and son. Two-Face happened to be District Attorney Harvey Dent. Dent was beloved by Gotham because he was cleaning up the streets of Gotham and serving as a beacon of light and hope for the citizens. The only problem is that the Joker convinced Dent to come over to the dark side, and Harvey wanted to avenge the death of his beloved Rachel Dawes. Dent went a little crazy, and to save the lives of his friends' loved ones, Batman had to restore order. Although not intentional, Harvey Dent was killed after Batman kicked him and fell off of a ledge. Batman was able to save Gordon's family, but a dilemma was then created. The general public did not know what Dent had become. He still served as a symbol of hope. In order to keep Dent's name clear, Batman made an incredible sacrifice and told Gordon to tell everyone that he had killed Dent, but not to tell them under the actual circumstances. By making this unselfish decision, Harvey Dent still served as a symbol of what it meant to do the right thing for years to come, even after his death. Batman took the scrutiny from the public over the death of Dent, and even more than that, the media painted a false image of him through false consciousness. He was to be seen as a menace to society and a danger to the citizens of Gotham. By portraying Batman as a villain, the media tried to ingrain the narrative that Batman was considered a villain and tried to make it a normal occurrence to actually think those thoughts. This also became a constant topic of conversation on all forms of media. Although the subject was often talked about through the media, not all members of the media believed that this narrative was true and did not want to report it about their beloved Batman. The problem was that the powers that be forced this narrative and continued to reassert and back this narrative. Because many of the wealthier people in Gotham were tied in cahoots with the villains already, they made sure that the media pushed the agenda that Batman was bad. They did this through the principle of uneven development, which is defined as the ruling class's interests will always outweigh the masses' interests. In other words, whatever the rich and powerful wanted to tell the public, it was told. The hierarchy of Gotham was also controlling the way that people thought about Batman through agenda setting. Batman was getting a bad rap because the news established that Batman killing Harvey Dent was considered an important topic. Through this, the aspects of Batman doing something that is immoral was considered the most important fact, and the media disregarded getting the full story about why a vigilante like Batman, who had never killed anybody before, suddenly killed the most beloved figure in Gotham. The 1% of Gotham constantly pressed the Gotham news media as well. In the news following the death of Harvey Dent, the four functions of ideology and news media were tested. Since the media privileges the political and economic and social interests of the elite over ordinary members of society, the media had to do what it needed to do to survive, which was to feed the public with negative things about Batman. And because ideological constructs become reified, the more people talk about them, the 1%'s agenda continued to get pushed even more. This in fact helped to maintain hegemony, and the ruling class maintained their power and tried to make Batman as a symbol of evil. But even though he took a L, Batman came and bounced back. Although the higher powers tried their best to paint Batman as a villain, Gotham couldn't stay mad at his Dark Knight. We can understand why this has happened through the idea of ideological analysis. This is the study of how certain cultural practices and artifacts produce particular knowledges in society. When Batman came back and started to save lives again, the narrative that Batman was still a good guy was created and spread throughout the city that desperately needed a hero. Through his actions, he was able to win back most of society's trust and destroy the negative idea that he was just as much of a villain as the real bad guys. Batman also won the trust of Gotham once again when he came back to fight Bane alongside of hundreds of Gotham's finest. By putting aside their differences and resent, the A-Team of Gotham was able to defeat Bane. The citizens and police force couldn't thank Batman enough and decided to honor him with a statue in front of the city hall. Thousands also attended his funeral, and the spirit of the Bat was felt throughout the hearts of the citizens of Gotham. Batman was not the only one who won the trust in the hearts of the people of Gotham. Bruce Wayne himself showed how selfless he was through the amount of money that he gave to charities before and after his death. Because he used his money for good, unlike his peers, he was remembered as a good man. And for Bruce, that was all that he could ask for. Gotham desperately needed a hero who can work from the shadows but still serve as a symbol of light and hope. The Dark Knight showed that Bruce Wayne was in fact that hero. By taking pride in his city and genuinely caring about the ones that loved him, he was able to be bigger than himself. By being the leader of a team that continued to work tirelessly to do the right thing, the Batman was able to keep Gotham safe.